Hello, I'm Dr. Larry Veradero, and welcome. Today we're diving deep into one of the strangest, most fascinating parts of our minds, our dreams. And our guide on this adventure? Well, it's none other than Sigmund Freud, a man who was convinced he had finally cracked the code to our bizarre, nighttime worlds. So, let's get started. You know the feeling, right? You wake up from a dream that felt incredibly real, but it was just filled with the most nonsensical stuff. People who shouldn't be there, places that don't exist, events that just defy all logic. So why? Why does our brain, which is so orderly and logical all day, produce these wild, chaotic movies at night? This is the exact question Freud set out to answer. All right, so to really get to the bottom of his theory, here's our roadmap. First, we'll look at the very strange language dreams speak. Then we'll see how that language connects back to our earliest childhood. We'll uncover what Freud thought was the dream's one true purpose. And then, and this is a big one, we'll tackle the problem of nightmares. And finally, we'll look at the actual engine that puts the whole thing together night after night. Okay, first stop, the language of the dream. Freud's big idea here was that when we're dreaming, our mind isn't speaking English or any modern language. Nope, it's actually reverting back to a way of thinking that is much, much older. He actually called this archaic and regressive. And a good way to think about it is like, it's a kind of reverse translator. The dream takes our modern, complicated verbal thoughts and translates them backwards into a really primitive language of pictures, symbols, and just raw emotion. It's like we're going back in time to how we thought before we even had words for everything. And you can really see the difference here. Our waking thought, well, it loves rules. It's logical, it's verbal, but dream thought, it couldn't care less about the rules. It thinks in pictures, it runs on emotion, and it will happily hold two completely contradictory ideas at the same time. No wonder our dreams feel so alien to our conscious selves, right? They're playing by a completely different set of rules. So that brings us to the next big question. If dreams speak this old, primitive language, where do all the wild stories actually come from? Well, Freud's answer was pretty radical. He said it comes from a part of our own lives that our conscious minds have almost totally forgotten about. You know, most of us have what Freud called childhood amnesia. We really can't remember much, if anything, from those first 5, 6, maybe even 8 years of our lives. But here's the kicker. Freud said those memories aren't gone. Not at all. They're just latent, hiding out where our conscious mind can't find them. But our dreams know the secret password to get in. And what's in that forgotten world? The raw, unfiltered mind of a child. A world of just absolute egoism, intense rivalries, strange fascinations, and really powerful, often forbidden feelings of love for parents. According to Freud, these primitive forces never actually go away. They just get buried deep in our unconscious, and they become the raw, psychic energy that powers our dreams. And this, of course, brings us to one of Freud's most famous and, most controversial ideas, the Oedipus complex. He believed this was a totally normal and critical part of a child's mental life. It represents the ultimate forbidden wish, this potent mix of love and rivalry inside the family. And because it's so forbidden, it gets suppressed, but it's always demanding a voice, and it often finds one in our dreams. Okay, so we've got the language, and we've got the raw material from childhood. Now we can finally get to the absolute heart of Freud's entire theory. What is a dream actually for? What is its one single driving purpose? And there it is. Freud's answer was as simple as it was shocking. Every single dream, no matter how weird, how boring, or even how terrifying it is the fulfillment of a wish. That's it. This is the one constant, the single engine that drives the whole dream-making machine. Now, I know exactly what you're thinking because that statement just hits a brick wall, doesn't it? If every dream is a wish fulfillment, then what on earth are nightmares? It's the most obvious objection, and trust me, Freud had a really clever answer. Right? How can a dream that's full of terror and anxiety and pain, how can that possibly be a wish coming true? It feels like it completely blows up the theory. But for Freud, this wasn't a contradiction. It was actually the ultimate proof. So, to explain this, Freud used an old fairy tale. A wife gets a wish, and she just blurts out, "I wish I had some sausages." Bam, direct wish fulfillment. But then her husband gets angry, and he uses his wish to say, "I wish those sausages were stuck to her nose." Now, for him, that's a wish fulfillment. But for her, it's a horrible punishment. Freud said our mind is just like this couple. There are two parts. The wish of one part, our forbidden unconscious impulse, is experienced as a punishment by the other part, our censoring ego. So, in the end, anxiety in a dream isn't a failure of the wish. It's the smoke alarm going off. It's the signal that a really powerful, suppressed wish has just smashed through our mental defenses. It's our ego's terrified reaction to seeing a forbidden wish come true. The wish is being fulfilled, but we're sided with the part of ourselves that is absolutely horrified by it. So this brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. How does this all actually work? We've got a forbidden childhood wish that's trying to get out, and we've got a censoring ego trying to keep it locked down. How do these two enemies actually work together to build the dream we have every night? Well, Freud explained it with this brilliant business analogy. He said the unconscious wish is like the capitalist. It has all the money, all the psychic energy, all the drive, but it doesn't have a specific idea. Then you have the entrepreneur. This is just some little leftover thought or memory from your day, a day remnant. The powerful capitalist, the unconscious wish, hijacks this little idea, invests all of its energy into it, and uses it as a cover to create a wish-fulfilling dream. And that's where we're left. You see, Freud's theory turns the dream from just random noise into a coded message from the deepest, most hidden part of ourselves. It's a secret nightly play where our oldest, most powerful, and often most forbidden desires finally get a chance to take the stage. And it leaves us with a pretty provocative question, doesn't it? If this is true, what is your mind truly trying to tell you?